live from our studios, Enterprise Television in ES, and let's move to our main conversation for today. The Nigerian Labour Congress NLC is mobilizing its members to accompany its president, Joe Ajaero, to the Nigeria Police Force headquarters on Thursday.
Very true. Ajaero was invited for questioning over alleged criminal conspiracy, terrorism, financing, and other charges, but he declined the initial invitation, requesting details of the allegation.
The NLC has called on its affiliate unions, state councils, and national officers to show solidarity for Ajaero by assembling at the NLC headquarters in Abuja or their respective state secretariats.
Moving on, they will then proceed to the state police headquarters for a peaceful procession and prayer session. If Ajaero is detained, the NLC has threatened to embark on an indefinite strike.
The union sees these as a united stand against unjust actions aimed at intimidating its leadership and stifling the voice of Nigerian workers. Joining us virtually, we have Dr. Ambrose Ibuke. He is the chairman, Enugu State Chapter of Guild of Public Affairs Analysts of Nigeria. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, thank you
for having me on the show today.
Thank you so very much for giving us your time as always, and also stay with us in the studios by Stefans Fendi. Thank you for hanging on.
Morning.
All right, so let's get into the crux of the matter here. Mr. Ibuke, we'd love to ask you. It's very important, and also it is the right of Nigerians, especially for pressure groups, to come together in solidarity, because what affects one affects all. I'd love to ask you, what is the limit to that solidarity, especially if it affects national security?
Well, in comradeship or unionism, that's what we call one for all for one. And that is, if it affects one, it affects all, and if it affects all, it also affects the individual. So the idea is to have a teamwork, a solidarity, to say that, especially at that top, which is the leadership of the NLC. Remember, the Nigerian Labour Congress is the trade union for all, it's an umbrella body for all trade unions in Nigeria. That is the NLC and Trade Union Congress. They are the smaller unions. Professional unions that are under them come together, form the membership of the NLC. So it is high up there in the labor echelon. Therefore, anything that affects the leadership of NLC ultimately affects the leadership and the welfare, otherwise, of other unions, especially professional unions. So this is not taken lightly. And we know that the NLC, because of the visibility of the Labour Party in the last general elections, which was last year, the Labour Union have been kind of recalibrated, and they have become more in forefront of national politics, being that the Labour Party was able to make a good showing. The ruling party is not comfortable with that, and we have been trying to see the NLC rather from the prism of partisan politics, rather from point of unionism. That's the problem we're having now. There's a kind of not being able to separate the NLC from the Labour Party, because the government sees the Labour Party as an arm of the NLC. So something needs to be done in respect of that, so that the two of them can be separate. That is what also the union have been complaining. Ajaero himself has not helped matters in this political escapades. We could see what happened in Imo State when the Imo State gubernatorial election took place earlier this year. How he was also brutalized and almost lost his eye, and was rescued. So these imbroglio have been going on for a while, and they have not been able to find a meeting ground. Also, we saw last year the various issues they had also in terms of ASO and some other unions. We remember there was a time earlier this year when the airport was shut down. So it has been all, the minimum wage crisis has been going on and the rest. So there have been no love lost between the labor union on the NLC especially and the federal government in the past 1 year.
But whose responsibility, doctor, whose responsibility is it to distill NLC from the Labour Party? Whose responsibility is it?
I think these things are already constitutionally spelled out. It's not the decision of anybody. There are laws and laid down rules about that. And in some parts of the world, especially in the UK, for example, there's a Labour Party there that is championed by the workers, and they make their position known. So if there were the extant laws did not allow Labour Party, the Labour Union to have a Labour Party, they will not do that. But as we can see, that if it's not even the members of the Labour Party themselves or the workers don't, most of the time don't even support the Labour Party in Nigeria, except maybe of this last year because of the imports of Mr. Peter Obi become their presidential candidate. That is where they got the verve, that because they have been existing as a party and there were no threats to anybody. Olusegun Mimiko was the first Labour Party governor when he was governor of Ondo State then. Even when somebody wanted to run as governor of Ondo State, it was the Labour Party first of all, came with before he now ported to the ACN there.
All right.
So it was this last year that made it very, very obvious that the Labour Party became very visible, and I think that is why they seem to constitute a political threat to some.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, over to you, Barrister Faye. Now, looking at this current issue on ground, looking at the charges, let me read them, over a case of alleged conspiracy, terrorism financing, treasonable felony, subversion, and cyber crime. Now, in your own words, because you are a barrister, and I believe you've seen some underlying hiccups in this particular story. Now, do you think Ajaero is being handled as a Labour Party member, or he's being accused, or according to him, as an NLC president? Looking at his escapades from November last year when he was beaten, even when he went out in Owerri to protest, and looking at the current situation of things, do you think he's being handled as a Labour Party member or as an NLC president?
By who?
By the federal government now telling him to come out for questioning, because in a letter, Ajaero declined the invitation, demanding details of the allegations leveled against him because he feels it's an allegation.
Yes, you see, I don't know why Ajaero have refused to go to that police station. This is an invitation, it's an allegation. And the allegation is quite clear. Ajaero is the person mentioned, not NLC or Labour Party. Those are two other institutions.
Sure.
He's an individual. The allegation is stemming from the police to him as an individual. So this rallying everybody together, bringing all the union and say, come, let's go. If they hold me back, start nationwide protest. It's wrong. The police hadn't said that NLC have committed treason or subversion or any other. It is Ajaero. Have you seen the letter, the invitation letter? It is him as a person. And let me advise the party. Criminal liability is personal. How be it that this is an allegation? Criminal liability is personal. The fact that he's the NLC chairman does not mean he cannot commit an offense. So if he commits an offense personally, so the NLC should go on strike. If he has committed an offense and it's proven and there is evidence and he's being arraigned, NLC should commence strike. Why should they commence strike? He is to get his lawyers together to defend him. Except it is clear that the police or whoever, is witch hunting him, or they don't actually have evidence, but they want to use that to put him in incarceration. When that becomes clear, NLC can now roll out its drum. You understand? Remember that they raided that place. The security agencies raided that place. And there is a premonition that perhaps some documentations were found, which is linked to this. It's not still very clear. Let him go and answer to the call.
Yes, sorry, just to interrupt you there. You said criminal liability is personal.
Yes.
But when an institution of the government pickets a house that belongs to a union, should that criminal liability still become personal?
Is that a charge? You say an institution.
Yes.
Why is an institution? The institution is the one liable now. If an institution, if you see the invitation letter, the invitation letter is addressed to him as a person and not as an institution. You understand? So, he should go answer to them so that he will know the gravity of the allegation against him. They will give him the petition to read. His lawyer will go through the same thing, okay? Then you will now understand whether it's a personal issue or an NLC issue. Okay. You understand?
So all right. Now, is it thinkable that a man of this caliber who is holding such top position and having a say, especially when it comes to the Labour Congress and speaking on behalf of thousands of citizens, will be able to do something that has been levied against him?
There's no construction in the face to tell the heart of man. You cannot say because he's NLC chairman, therefore he's above committing offense, or he couldn't have committed any offense anywhere. Everything still lies in the realm of an allegation. It's an allegation.
All right.
But because if he continues in this trajectory where the police invite you, I'm not a fan of the police, so I'm not speaking for the police. But as a citizen, private or whatsoever, when the police invites you, you go there.
Beautiful.
Every lawyer will say, go there, go to that place. You can go with your lawyers, you can go with friends, you can go with even you understand? But you don't start to say, if they now detain you, NLC should start strike. How about they detain you for a personal crime that you commit? NLC should go on strike.
Well, we have joining us right about now, John Akerele, all the way from Saitama in Japan. He is a public affairs analyst. Good morning, John.
Good morning, John.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so very much. So just before you joined in, we were of course talking about the NLC and the role of the government in ensuring that the justice is done, especially as it concerns Joe Ajaero. And my question to you, John, is this. Of course, our discussants have talked about how that we should differentiate personal liability from an institution. Now, I want you to tell us, how do you think we should draw the divide when there is a personal interest, and of course it's being infused into an institution as a bait?
Thank you very much, and good morning to all of our viewers all over the globe. Good morning to my brother in the studio.
Thank you. Good morning.
For me, this government should be seen as a government that is responsive and does not show any form of bias. I think the body language or the signal that this administration is sending out is simple. And it is the fact that if you are a voice against this current administration, you see that the police will come for you. And the offense they will level against you are the common ones that we all know. The most popular one is treasonable felony. All right? Criminal conspiracy and all lots of them. I think before now, let's not even look at Joe Ajaero as a case study. We have the case of Nnamdi Kanu, filed with the same offense. We have the case of Showore, filed with the same offense. And so it means that the APC government has this storyline. If you are against them, they have this. Now, the same thing I'm asking you in the studio right now is, it is in the same country where we are that a governor, a past governor, was invited. He declined his invitation. And then the next thing we see is that we saw on the page of newspaper that the ex-governor of Kogi State declared wanted when they know where he is. And so I'm not saying that Joe Ajaero might not have skeletons in his cupboard. But if Joe Ajaero has skeletons in his cupboard, there are better ways of doing this so that the message is not being perceived to be that you are persecuting those who are against you, or those who are critical of your government, or those who are top critic of your policies. And the way the narration is, that is how it is presently. However, you cannot take away the place of institutionality and personal interest as it comes to Nigeria as a state. And that has been the bane of our problem right from time. Why? Because we do not have strong institutions. And over time, you hear even on the floor of the Senate and House of Assembly, where a senator says that, you know, I used to beg for you. I used to beg my wife for you on the bed. And that shows to you that there is a personal interest as against institutions. And so it means that over the years, we as a people, we have failed to have strong institutions rather than having strong personality. So for me, if Joe Ajaero, if the government has something against Joe Ajaero, I think, you know, this should not come in now. It should have been something that they know before now. And the last thing again, my brother, is this. We should not be playing games with people. If truly you have done your due diligence, you have done all of the investigations, you have your facts and figure against this man, because most of the time you see that these are just media trial. You hear this Guara now, and after 2-3 months, it goes down the drain. Then you ask yourself, where is that treasonable felony offense? Where is that criminal conspiracy? You know, it's just at that point that just to come up and later it goes up. Or you get a case of when they get to the court, you say that maybe Joe Ajaero now will fall to that government, and then you ask yourself, at what point did the intelligence unit have their facts and figure before they invite this man?
All right.
So it means that they should do their due diligence. It can take you months, it can take you years. Make sure that you have your facts on ground, and these facts are verified, and they are concrete and genuine, and that these facts are able to nullify the person you are going to invite. Not that you have not done your own due diligence, your own homework, and just come out and say it's invited for questioning. I think you should answer the call. Go answer your questions if you know that even through you are played. But the other argument is that they see Joe Ajaero as a voice for the masses, and now that the government is inviting Joe Ajaero for questioning, and this offense has been labeled against him, then it is perceived to see that Joe Ajaero is now a voice that wants to be silent.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, over to you, Dr. Ambrose. Before we let you go, I want to get your partition, but at the same time, I want to ask, do you think the government is going about this whole issue the right way? Shouldn't some respect be accorded to his office at least, even though they want to treat him as an individual?
Well, he was not, Joe Ajaero was not picked in Gestapo style. So as far as that is concerned, I think there was respect. A letter was written to him, respectively inviting him to the police. So he was not picked. There was no any James Bond style to pick him, as we see the Nigerian police do sometimes. He was invited, and by the way, I don't know why some parts of the media said that Joe Ajaero declined. He didn't decline. Decline means I am not going. He only said, I will not be able to come on the date that you give. Please, I will come on the 29th of August. So that does not amount to decline. Decline means I am not coming. Asking for date means I am coming, but I will not be able to come on the date you give it to me. I will be able to come on so dates, and that is allowed. So far there will be mutual respect from both sides. And the police have not gone to pick him up after he, deferred the invitation dates. So I think for me, that is mutual respect on both sides. So if he goes there today and then he answers his question, makes his statement, just like the last speaker said, Nigerian police is fond of, holding the individual down before commencing investigation. While in normal crimes, you are supposed to commence investigation, conclude your preliminary investigation, have enough exhibits or documents to nail the person in court before even taking the person to court. Most of the time when people go to court, they get their convictions. And so NLC is also very aware of the modus operandi of the Nigerian police when it comes to this kind of issue. And that is why it's also sounding an alarm bell. It is also trying to make some noise so that it's like a preemptive strike to scare the police away from, detaining the man, because we have seen it happen so many times. Even when courts give orders that the person should be let go, they'll still keep the person. So the NST is not also wrong by crying foul. They know what they're doing. It's a strategic move. The Nigerian police has shown mutual respect, and Nigeria also showed them some respect. So I think for now, the game is okay. It's been played by the rules for now. And what will happen after today is what we don't know. But I think everybody should just play by the rules. Don't come to tell us, treasonable offenses are not available and all those kind of things. We don't want to throw the country into panic. We are already suffering from, I agree that Joe Ajaero is an institution, but you cannot divulge at the present Joe Ajaero as an individual and Joe Ajaero as NLC President. You cannot divulge it. Just like saying, Mr. Tinubu is an individual and then President of Nigeria. No, if anything, anybody tries to do anything to President Tinubu as a person, he's doing the same to the Nigerian state, because he's the President of the Federal Republic. And so it is for so many of these offices. So at this particular, especially when the police have gone to raid the NLC Secretariat, they have already given that slant to the story that the NLC is being vilified. So that coming from that, after raiding the NLC Secretariat, and then you're inviting the NLC President, of course, any person can just tie the two events together and say, this is the victimization of NLC. And so there's what we call perception management. If you cannot be able to present your perception in the right way, no matter what you do, it is the perception that people really into it that actually carries the day. And therefore, the people have right to their perception, and they have a right to also defend it and see that some things don't happen. So also the police have the right to do their job, but in doing their job, they should be able to manage it with all ramification, because there's what we call the due diligence. There's also what we call the public management of the image of the police, and also the reputation management of the police. These are things that have to be tied together. So as a communication expert, we always look at these positions. Not only will I have to do my job, no matter whose house it's got, I have to do this, I have to do that. In doing your job, what is the human angle in doing your job? Because you are doing the job on behalf of the same citizens. You are not doing the job in abstraction or in dissonance. You are doing it on behalf of the citizens. And this is why we say that the police should approach it strategically, and also the NLC should approach it strategically. At the end of the day, we will know how this plays out. But we pray and hope that Nigeria is not thrown into another round of strike because of some issues that can be resolved without a rancor.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Ambrose. Now let's get to the studios, Barrister Vansu Philly. Unfortunately, all that we are having right now, the conundrum is manifested with the fact that the NLC was a bit empathetic to Nigerians with the hashtag #EndBadGovernance protest. Do you still think, with your last submission, knowing where this is coming from, do you still buy with your submission, knowing that all of this is stemming from the singular fact that the NLC was sympathetic to the cause of Nigerians?
You see, when we use assumption, lawyers don't use assumption. I'm not going to use assumption to do analysis, so that in my assumption, I will conclude that just because there is an invitation extended to Joe Ajaero, then it means that it is stemming from their protests with the federal government, which took almost 6 months before or whether it's coming from #EndBadGovernance, or whether it's stemming out from the raid that the police raided them. Those causes are probable. Of course, every reasonable person knows that things like that are probable. But you must give allowance. You understand? You must give allowance for the benefit of doubt, and accord that to the police and the situation at hand. Every citizen of this country is answerable to the police. You understand? If he is making arrangements on ground to say that in case this turned out to be this way, in case this is stemming out from all the, that's why I asked for details. You understand? Because even he is not sure what the issue is, where it's coming from. So if the bearer himself is not even sure where this thing is coming from, is asking for details, why should we, analyzing it, conclude that it's coming from there? We cannot conclude. You understand? Because you see, the reason you cannot conclude is because you cannot really tell whether there are other issues, okay, or whether outrightly this is just witch hunting. That is why he needs to submit himself there. Look at the petition. There is an allegation against him. Look at the petition before the police that warranted this. His lawyers will advise him. Okay? Even if you are talking about detention, police have a right to keep him for 24 hours or 48 hours. So are you not saying that if they keep him for 24 hours or 48 hours, NLC should start strike?
But you have a fine picture of how all of this goes. You have a very clean understanding of how prosecution work in Nigeria. Nigerian police are against the people. When they get you, they don't allow investigations to go through. And so all of those things could be what Ajaero is running away from.
See, yes, I understand. It is natural for everyone to think that way because our police are not professionals. They are not professional. They don't do things professionally. And that is why every citizen will have that fear. In fact, some people will not even go at all. Like Ajaero, when the EFCC invited him, he didn't go. He even told the ES chairman that they have organized some people to embarrass him. And what they intend to do is to embarrass him. Every Nigerian will have that fear. Because our law enforcement agencies are unprofessional. You understand? Everybody will have the fear. But that, why that fear is valid, we should not now tie it up that it will always be the case in every circumstance. We can't. If we do that, it means that we have given up on the system and we want our assumption to be the case, but our assumption can be deflated.
But they've not given us reason to believe in the system.
Yeah, they've not given you reason to believe in the system does not mean your assumption is not the reality. Look, there are people who have been arrested, they didn't stay up to 24 hours. Obiano, when he finished his tenure, that same morning, he took off, going to the US. They got him at the airport, the EFCC, dragged him back to this. They took his statement, took his this thing, and he was allowed to go.
And influence didn't play a part in that.
You understand? No, it doesn't matter what played out. It doesn't matter what played out. See, go and answer to the invitation first.
Thank you, Barrister Philip. Now, over to you, John. Now, want to find out from you, how do you tie these allegations to Ajaero, terror financing, cyber crime, treasonable felony, etc., to the NLC President?
Well, I think what we are having now is just a replica of how bastardized the country is in terms of institutions. We do not have strong institutions, and that's why you see that there's always a mixture of the personality and the institution, and that's where we are presently. So for me, I'm not saying that Ajaero do not have questions to answer, and I'm not saying that all that they have debated against him is right or wrong. What I'm saying is, from the perception of the police to the people, over time, there has been an issue of mistrust. Even you in the studio, if the police invite you tomorrow, do you think you have the confidence to go to the police station and answer questions? Because you know of the manipulative gimmicks that assumes in our system. And so the issue of confidence and trust in our policing system is what is giving this problem now. And that's why there is so much agitation and resistance about him being invited. Ajaero is a person. And so NLC is an institution. So to her is human. So which means that Ajaero can make mistakes. That is a fact. But then people will perceive this now that because there was an issue with this government about NLC having strikes about 3 times within 1 year, and this, I mean, I've said it earlier, that it is only under this division that NLC have gone on strike 3 good times in 1 single year, never in the history of Nigeria. And so it shows that there is a glitch between the federal government, the administration, and the president of NLC. They are not in good time. Look at the back and forth about minimum wage. And so people are seeing it now that this is just a way of silencing the voice of the masses. But for me, I think if we must have a good country that we can call our own, then let our leaders lead by example. If you are a governor and you have been invited by the police, let us all see that a governor walk majestically to the governors of the EFCC. Fire share leaders and the governor of the state. But why is our uncle Kogi, Yabelo, not, when leaders like this take those bold steps, then it gives that stronger voice that if a governor can go to the EFCC, then who are you, the NLC chairman, not to, attend invitations? If a Senate president can even, be willing, how many of them will even, accept invitation by the police officer? So how many of them are being brought so far? And so these are the questions that we are, that are hanging, and then there's nobody to give an answer to this question. Once this question are answered, then we can see that our leaders, our political office holders, our public servants, our political appointees, let them lead by example, and let the followers see that our leaders are indeed leading by example. Then no follower will reject such an invitation.
Thank you.
Very true. All right. Yeah, Mr. Vance, let's, just before we wind up, during the administration of Olusegun Obasanjo, Adams Oshiomhole had an understanding of what arrest means. He was literally arrested every other week. In fact, there was a time when he was arrested twice in 2 days. And Adams Oshiomhole came up when he was the governor, said if he was the president of this country, he would ensure that Olusegun Obasanjo was arrested because of what he went through. And of course, it boils down to the same old thing: fuel increase. He mobilized Nigerians to strike against it, which is similar to what we're having today. So why would we at this point, cast blame, not really, assumingly, cast blame on Joe Ajaero, knowing that these were things that had happened in the past, especially Adams Oshiomhole? Maybe the time is different, but it still played the same picture.
I wouldn't really cast blame on Joe Ajaero. I was on News Central when he was first invited to do analysis on this issue. And my analysis was that when the whole nation were about the fact that he declined invitation and all that, and I put the record clear that he didn't decline. He said he needs further details of the information. He has not breached any law by asking the police to provide more information to him, and that he wants his lawyer to study the situation before he comes to the. There is nothing offensive about that. He didn't say he's not going to come. So we're not casting, I in person, I'm not casting any blame on him, but I'm saying from that time till now, he still hasn't, honored that invitation. We must protect our institution. As much as we think that Joe Ajaero is above board, he can do no wrong. Okay? I've told you before, we cannot assume. What the police have, we don't have. The only way the matter can move forward is for him to submit himself. That's the only way we can move forward.
All right.
And the police don't kill in their station. Let him go there. If he wants to mobilize people, they should go follow him. But the truth is that he cannot escape honoring that invitation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ironically, sorry, just before we withdraw, ironically, we might not have the facts because we are the media, of course, but we have our point of view.
You're very right.
Yes, and all of this, since Peter Obi, of course, found himself in the Labour Party, it's been one issue after another. We read on one of the newspaper headlines in Lagos State, particularly, the government of the day has said that the Labour Party should not have a Congress in the state, which of course they call illegal. All right, so how do we tie all of this together? We might not have the facts, true, but we have our point of view. So let's make our point of view straight. Let them start with you then.
It's not Joe Ajaero is not the chairman of Labour Party. It's not now.
Yeah, it's not. Yes.
Labour Party have a chairman. We were talking about the issue of convention, right?
Yes.
It's what's his name? The other man. Okay. It's not. It has nothing to do with Joe Ajaero, even though they had a face-off. Okay, at some point, and that for me does not constitute. I cannot sit down here and then tie that to this arrest or this invitation. I can't, because the reason I can't is that how will I analyze it? That this is because of the face-off between Labour Party and the Labour Union, and then I'll just conclude on that. And the charges, the allegations, do not speak of that. The allegations of terrorism, subversion. So how does it speak to a face-off between Labour Union and the Labour Party? It doesn't tie up. That is why, you see, the more we analyze it, the more we see the reason for Joe Ajaero to go to that place. Right. If we press further with further question, more reasons will pop up why he should go and answer that invitation. He has to answer the invitation.
All right.
Let's stop shielding him.
All right.
When we're doing that, we're destroying institutions, both Labour and the police. Unwittingly.
All right. John, just before we let you go, I'd love you to maybe speak on this in 60 seconds. The Labour Party, of course, the barrister here has said it. The Labour Party, but of course, the fact remains that the Labour Party and the NLC are like Simon's twins, of course. And at some point, even the Nigerian Labour Congress, had a say in the Labour Party and asking that the current president of the party should leave because he's not representing the voices of the NLC. So I would love you to maybe in 60 seconds tell us how do you think we can better decipher this, especially putting the Labour Party in one place and the NLC in another, so we wouldn't have this confusion. When one is targeted, we feel it's because of the other person.
All right. If you have been a student of political history in the country called Nigeria, you will understand that the business of every political party is the interest of another political party. And how do I mean? If you are in the PDP, your interest is in your opposition party, APC and Labour. If you are in Labour, your interest is in APC and PDP, which means that you always have a way of fingering other political parties, which there's an unrest, there's a chaos. All right? And so that has been the base of politicking. We call it politics, but it's politicking. And so it is a constant case strategy of giving other political parties to be busy while they do what they want to do. Apart from that, NLC is an institution. Labour Party is a political party. And these are two different entities that do not, match in any way. But like I said to you, because we are a people that we don't create strong institutions, we are not able to separate Labour Party from Labour Congress. And that is the base of the problem now. Now, most people who are of the opinion that the call of Ajaero or the invitation of Ajaero is victimization, they might share interest in Labour Party. Those people who are saying Joe Ajaero should honor the invitation, they might also be antagonists of Labour Party. And so, he cannot take away the place of personal interest in all arguments, in all things that we're doing. And so, for me, we should talk about how we can create strong institutions that can last the test of time. All right? We've had presidents in the past, we need to have presidents. So can we make sure that we have strong institutions? We've had NLC presidents in the past. And after Joe Ajaero, we'll see have other NLC presidents. But can we make NLC a strong institution that can stand on its own and that can purge itself of its abnormalities that we have seen in previous years and even as it stands now? If Joe Ajaero is sin, I'm not saying it's a sin. But what I'm saying is let's create a stronger institution that can stand the test of time, that we all can be proud of as our own, because people will go and people will come. but a barrack will remain.
Very true. Thank you so very much, John Akirili. Thank you as always for making
my
the
pleasure.
picture, for making the picture complete. We appreciate your time. Choma.
Thank you, Mary.
All right. Very true. So up next, trending matters with Roberta Obiaifo. Please don't go anywhere.